Judge, there was one matter with respect to the PowerPoint. I did send over the redacted one, and I spoke with, as I informed the court, I spoke with Mr. Williams about Mr. Ryan's statement and our intent to not use that.
Right.
So those two matters were off the table.
Okay, so we don't have to deal with a motion to suppress Mr. Ryan's statement because the state does not intend to use that. And I've also been informed that Mr. Kendricks is not going to be filing a motion to suppress the first hour and a half or 2 hours or whatever of his statement. So we don't have, that's also off of our to-do list.
Your Honor, on behalf of Mr. Ryan, and what was received on Friday, I think was our updated list of the people they actually intend on calling and co-conspirator statements, I believe. So we'll have Mr. Ryan's motions in limine, the basic ones of this is, an admissible hearsay, those types of items based on what we just received. I don't know if those are the immediate upcoming witnesses. We're going to prepare it as fast as we can. We're just kind of, as you know, getting the rolling. This is what's actually being introduced.
So we, in my speaking with Mr. Williams, I did let her know that if she had specific objections, there may be things that we could agree to. She did name some, and I agreed with her. So we were continuing to discuss those. So if after those conversations, Mr. Bassi and Mr. Williams feel like there's still more to litigate, that'll happen. But that conversation and that dialogue has started regarding those things that have been turned over to Mr. Ryan.
I think what probably would be the most productive is things that we have issues on, we make note of and make a record. This is the defense raises this issue, state agrees, so that they've been addressed and it doesn't, something got missed from the list or something like that. So we'll get Ms. Love and do that.
That's fine.
We will get that to the court as soon as possible. I don't know if they are in the next few witnesses category or not.
Okay.
I mean, I don't either right offhand, but if it is, we're litigating that stuff this week.
Right. Could the state provide a little bit of guidance?
No, Your Honor, the stuff for the Jamari Holmes are not within the next 10 weeks.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. That works. How about Mr. Kendrick's statement that there's the Bruton issues on, right? And when's that going to get introduced?
So not in the next 4 weeks, actually, based on who it is that we intend to come before the witness that would introduce.
Okay. What witness will that be with?
Investigator Thor.
Well, y'all got him listed as witness number 5.
We do, but he has had he will be moved down based on some circumstances that have occurred in his.
Okay.
He has some personal matters.
Okay. So is it still going to be Burnett, Sledge, Zachary, Dean, Morton, Sprinkle, the phone custodians, Bernie, generally?
Generally, yes.
Okay. And then I guess Thorpe will be at the end of those now? Okay. And that PowerPoint, that's
with Dennis.
Well, that's with Dennis. Okay. So he's several out. All right, so great. That'll give y'all some time to get together on that statement to sort Bruton issues. Mr. Steele, you also seemed to kind of be making a broad argument that nothing in his statement, in Mr. Kendrick's statement, even if it doesn't directly implicate your client standing alone, needs to be redacted, or there needs to be a limiting instruction about that. Do you have any law to back that up?
I'm trying to get proper law, but in this case, there has been over objection the announcement that YSL is a criminal street gang, that Mr. Williams, according to 3 supposed experts is a member of, in addition to Trontavious Stevens, said that Mr. Williams is a member of, in addition to Mr. Walter Murphy, had Mr. Williams allegedly as a member of. There may be others. And then in Mr. Kendrick's statement to law enforcement on October 6th, 2015, he discusses YSL, the crew, the gang. So I think that under Bruton, it's an element of the offense of criminal street gang as well as RICO that I believe that that does not indirectly but directly implicates Mr. Williams. But I'm looking for law on that. But that I do not want to waive that issue. In addition,
Well, yeah, just get me some law and we'll take it. Sounds like it's not quite as time sensitive as we thought it was, but we still need to get moving on it. So try to get me the law that would cover that.
in
as soon as
addition,
you can.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No. I thought.
Go ahead, I'm done.
you were thought the sound record was done. Yes, I do want a limiting instruction, and that comes right out of the cases that I did cite, because that statement I cannot cross-examine. Mr. Adams cannot cross-examine Mr. Kendrick. That statement should be his alone, and it's a confrontation clause, so it does not move the conspiracy forward. So it's not a recognized exception.
Okay.
So the second part of the question was, do you have law for the limiting instruction? And I already provided, but I could provide more.
Okay. And then I do want you to get with the state to try to come to an agreement as to what needs to get redacted to avoid Bruton, at least the classic Bruton issues, and we'll have to take up whether any kind of talk whatsoever about YSL gets included within that or not. But as to sort of the classic, Mr. Williams did this, which I doubt if he says something like that anyway, but something that would directly implicate your client standing alone. The state ought to know what that would be and be able to redact that out. And it's going to be played as a video statement, right? So, right or no?
We intended to ask questions
Okay.
versus.
That's fine. That's fine.
And Your Honor,
Yeah.
I did that in my motion. I was specific, and I give the timestamp where it starts. And I did it not only for Mr. Williams, but I did it for anybody else that I saw. And I did it for Shannon Stillwell. He's mentioned a great deal as well. So I believe that I flagged. If I missed anything, obviously, I'd like somebody to tell me. But I believe I've already done it. If the state agrees with it, then we need to make sure that the witness or witnesses know.
Sure.
But other than that, that's been done, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you.
And Your Honor,
Yes.
while we're on this topic, just an additional issue. Not only are there Bruton matters, but there's also just typical evidentiary rule matters, such as speculation. At one point, Mr. Kendrick is asked who he thinks may have done this, for instance, and he names some names. That's the sort of thing that would need to come out, Bruton or not, if we're asking about speculation.
Okay, well, it sounds like it's not going to be played as sort of a running statement. It's going to be more targeted questions to the, I guess, investigator that conducted the interview.
Correct.
Okay,
So that would not even be an issue, putting in or trying to redact out
okay,
those kind of comments.
all right, good. All right, so let's turn to some of the specific then evidence that's going to be coming in with these next witnesses. So there's not anything controversial with regard to witness Burnett's evidence, right?
Not on behalf of Mr. Williams.
And everybody else is silent, so I'm going to take that as a no for everybody else. All right, so Mr. Sledge, there are some co-conspirator statements from him. We already did his interview, right? Okay. Did we do his jail calls, or do we still need to do that? Maybe I can look at the more detailed exhibit list that y'all provided to everybody.
Your Honor,
Yeah.
before we discuss the jail phone calls, I do have one possible issue. I'm not sure how the state plans on doing this. I see the fifth row down on Mr. Burnett, comparison photo infinity Q5 or Q50 and gas station still photograph. I don't know exactly what that means or how the state anticipates that presentation to go in court. I don't know what Mr. Burnett's qualifications would be to compare two photos. So I'm just wondering how the state anticipates that playing out in court.
Okay. So are you looking at the first 30 witness list? Is that what you're looking at?
I believe I'm looking at the same thing. It starts with 81 and then Copeland under the witness.
No, I think you've got a more detailed one than I do. I need to find the more detailed one. That was a Dropbox link, right?
Correct, Your Honor. And in regards to what Mr. Shard is addressing, Mr. Burnett, both back in, I forget the exact date, but during Deputy Sprinkle's investigation, he worked at an Infiniti dealership. He's worked for Infiniti for over 20 years, so it's lay opinion testimony. Obviously, the state has to lay the proper foundation when he's on the stand, but
Right.
his ability to recognize Infiniti vehicles is through his 20 years, and he personally has driven Infiniti cars. So obviously that has to come out, but it's not scientific expertise. It's
He's
classic
an
lay
expert
opinion.
because he's got all kinds of daily experience with it from the last 20 years. Or
Yes, Your
whatever.
Honor.
Okay. Okay. So does that answer your question, Mr. Sharp?
It does. So I guess Mr. Atkins, you are going to ask him in front of the jury to compare the two photos and testify whether they're the same type of car. Is that
Correct, Mr. Sharp.
okay?
As one piece of his testimony. I mean, essentially, after the foundation is laid, he will use his lay opinion as a 20-year Infiniti rep to state his opinion of what specific vehicles are in both exhibits admitted and, demonstrative photos that are included in that Dropbox link.
I don't know. I would like the Honorable Court to look at the photographs. I don't know if we need a individual lay person to say that these are similar.
Do I have, you, Mr. Atkins, are saying lay, but then you're describing something that I would think if this is beyond the ken of the average juror, it's expert, even if it's based on his 20 years as an Infiniti rep. So which is it?
So, Your Honor, he can be, his experience as an Infiniti rep, if he needs to be deemed an expert to state what the vehicle is in specific photographs, it's all through his training and experience of working with Infiniti's hands-on for 20 years.
Okay, well, that would probably then be expert, but do you want to show me what it is that y'all are, I see that one of the things listed is comparison photo, Infiniti, Q50, and gas station still photograph. Is that what you want me to look at, Mr. Steele?
And Your Honor, some of these exhibits, so there's the exhibit of the drive-by shooting that resulted in Mr. Thomas's death that is at nighttime. And there's also a lit up, the Texaco gas station that's like 50 feet from the crime scene location. So that Infiniti vehicle, in the state's belief, is the same vehicle seen in the kind of more lit up gas station and also the vehicle that did the drive-by shooting. And so it is not as easy for just a juror to decide, because of the quality of this 2015 surveillance video, what kind of car that is driving down in the in either of these.
So are you going to have Mr. Burnett look at the darker, more grainy drive-by and say, I can identify this as an infinity because of X, Y, and Z things?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. And then you're going to have him look at the same thing in the gas station photo and say, in my opinion, this is the same infinity because of X, Y, and Z things?